The SEAL's helper. First document. Marcus Rodriguez had always been the invisible one. At 22 years old, he worked quietly in the background at Naval Base Coronado, performing maintenance tasks that most people never noticed. His official title was Naval Support Specialist, but everyone simply called him the Helper. He fixed broken equipment, cleaned facilities, and made sure the Navy SEALs had everything they needed for their training and missions. Every morning at 5 a.m., Marcus arrived at the base before most personnel. He would check the equipment rooms, ensure the training facilities were ready, and prepare the gear that the elite soldiers would use throughout the day. The SEALs barely acknowledged his presence. To them, he was just another support staff member who happened to be there when they needed something fixed or cleaned. Marcus had grown up in a small town in Texas, where his father worked as a mechanic and his mother cleaned houses for wealthy families. They had taught him the value of hard work and doing his job well, even when no one was watching. When he enlisted in the Navy, Marcus hoped to become a SEAL himself, but his test scores and physical performance placed him in a support role instead. At first, he felt disappointed and embarrassed, but he decided to excel at whatever job the Navy gave him. The other support staff often complained about their assignments. They felt unappreciated and invisible, especially when working around the SEALs who received all the recognition and respect. But Marcus approached his work differently. He studied the equipment manuals in his spare time, learned about every piece of gear the SEALs used, and memorized the layout of every facility on the base. He wanted to be the best helper anyone had ever seen. One Tuesday morning, Marcus was cleaning the weapons storage area when he overheard two SEALs talking about a problem with their diving equipment. The oxygen regulators were malfunctioning, and they had an important underwater training exercise scheduled for that afternoon. The senior SEAL, Chief Petty Officer Williams, was frustrated because the base repair shop said the equipment could not be fixed until the following week. Marcus continued his cleaning but listened carefully to their conversation. He had studied the diving equipment manuals extensively and had even practiced repairing similar regulators during his own time. The malfunction they described sounded like a common issue with the pressure valves that he knew how to fix. However, he hesitated to speak up because he was just the helper, and the SEALs rarely welcomed input from support staff. As Chief Williams and his teammate walked away, still discussing how to solve their problem, Marcus made a decision that would change everything. He quietly approached the malfunctioning equipment and began examining it closely. Using tools from his maintenance kit, he carefully disassembled the regulator and found exactly what he expected: a clogged pressure valve that could be cleaned and recalibrated. Working methodically and precisely, Marcus spent the next hour repairing not just one regulator, but testing and fixing 3 others that showed similar problems. He documented his work in a detailed report, explaining what he had found and what steps he had taken to fix each piece of equipment. When he finished, he placed the report on Chief Williams's desk and returned to his regular duties. That afternoon, Marcus watched from a distance as the SEALs prepared for their underwater training. Chief Williams picked up the diving equipment and began his pre-exercise inspection. Marcus saw the chief's surprised expression when he realized the regulators were working perfectly. Williams looked around the area, clearly wondering who had fixed the equipment and how. The training exercise went smoothly, and Marcus felt satisfied knowing that he had contributed to its success, even though no one knew he was responsible. He expected the day to end like any other, with him finishing his cleaning duties and returning to his small apartment off base. But as he was preparing to leave, Chief Williams approached him. "Rodriguez," the chief said, his voice serious but not unfriendly. "Did you fix those diving regulators today?" Marcus felt nervous but decided to be honest. "Yes, Chief. I heard you discussing the problem this morning, and I knew how to repair that type of malfunction. I hope that was okay." Chief Williams studied Marcus for a long moment. "Where did you learn to repair diving equipment? That's not part of your job description." Marcus explained how he had been studying equipment manuals and learning about all the gear used by the SEALs. He told the chief about his desire to contribute meaningfully to the team's success, even in a support role. He also mentioned that he had always been interested in the technical aspects of military equipment. "The repairs you made were professional quality," Chief Williams said, "better than what some of our certified technicians produce. How long have you been studying this equipment?" "About 18 months, Chief," Marcus replied. "I study during my breaks and after work. I want to understand everything about how the gear works so I can help maintain it properly." Chief Williams nodded slowly. "I'm impressed by your initiative and the quality of your work. But next time, come to me before you touch sensitive equipment. We need to know who's working on our gear for safety and accountability reasons." Marcus agreed, thinking the conversation was over, but Chief Williams continued. "I want you to report to the equipment bay tomorrow morning at 0600. We're going to test your knowledge and see what else you can do. If you're as capable as you seem, we might have better ways to use your skills." That evening, Marcus could hardly contain his excitement. For the first time since joining the Navy, someone had noticed his abilities and seemed interested in his potential. He spent the night reviewing his equipment manuals and preparing for whatever test Chief Williams had in mind. The next morning, Marcus arrived at the equipment bay to find Chief Williams waiting with 2 other senior SEALs. They had set up several pieces of broken or malfunctioning equipment on a work table. Without explanation, Chief Williams pointed to the equipment and said, "Fix what's broken, improve what's working poorly, and explain to us what you're doing as you work." For the next 3 hours, Marcus worked steadily through the equipment. He repaired a faulty radio, recalibrated a navigation device, improved the efficiency of a water filtration system, and identified a dangerous flaw in a piece of climbing gear that could have caused serious injury. Throughout the process, he explained his methods and reasoning to the watching SEALs, who asked detailed questions about his work. When Marcus finished, the 3 SEALs exchanged meaningful looks. Chief Williams spoke first. "Rodriguez, you've just demonstrated technical skills that surpass most of our certified equipment specialists. Your understanding of the gear is comprehensive, and your attention to detail is exceptional. We have a proposition for you." Marcus listened carefully as Chief Williams explained that the SEAL teams needed someone with his technical expertise to travel with them on certain missions. This person would be responsible for maintaining and repairing critical equipment in the field, where access to replacement parts and technical support was impossible. It was a position that required security clearance, additional training, and the ability to work under extreme pressure. "This isn't a promotion in the traditional sense," Chief Williams explained. "You'd still be support staff, but you'd be essential support staff. You'd train with us, deploy with us, and your technical skills could mean the difference between mission success and failure. Are you interested?" Marcus didn't hesitate. "Yes, Chief. I'm very interested." "Good. Report to Lieutenant Commander Brooks tomorrow morning. She'll begin the process of upgrading your security clearance and arranging for your additional training. And Rodriguez?" "Yes, Chief?" "Stop thinking of yourself as just a helper. Helpers don't have the skills you've demonstrated. You're a technical specialist, and it's time you started acting like one." As Marcus walked back to his apartment that evening, he reflected on how much his life had changed in just 2 days. He had gone from being invisible to being recognized as someone with valuable skills. But he also understood that this was just the beginning. The real challenges would come during training and deployment, where he would need to prove that his technical abilities could hold up under the pressure of real military operations. Over the next several weeks, Marcus began an intensive training program that challenged him physically, mentally, and technically. He learned advanced equipment repair techniques, studied the specific gear used in different types of missions, and began physical conditioning to prepare him for deployment with SEAL teams. The work was demanding, but Marcus approached it with the same dedication that had brought him to this opportunity. His fellow support staff members were amazed by his transformation. Some were jealous of his advancement, but most were inspired by his example. Marcus made sure to share what he learned with his colleagues, helping them improve their own skills and understanding of the equipment they maintained. Lieutenant Commander Brooks, who supervised Marcus's training, was impressed by his progress and attitude. She noted in his evaluation that he demonstrated exceptional technical aptitude, strong problem-solving abilities, and the kind of calm professionalism needed for high-stress situations. She recommended him for accelerated advancement in his new role. As Marcus's training neared completion, he learned that his first deployment would be with a SEAL team conducting a sensitive operation in a remote location. The mission would require maintaining sophisticated communication and surveillance equipment in harsh environmental conditions, far from any technical support. It was exactly the kind of challenge that Marcus had been preparing for, and he felt ready to prove himself in the field. The night before his departure, Marcus called his parents to tell them about his new assignment. His father, the mechanic, was proud that his son's technical skills had been recognized and valued by the military. His mother worried about his safety, but understood that this opportunity represented everything Marcus had worked for since joining the Navy. As he packed his gear for deployment, Marcus thought about the journey that had brought him to this point. He had started as someone who was overlooked and underestimated, but his dedication to excellence and continuous learning had opened doors he never expected. Now he faced the ultimate test of his abilities, working alongside some of the military's most elite operators in situations where failure was not an option. The SEAL's Helper, second document. The helicopter touched down on a dusty landing zone in an unnamed location somewhere in the Middle East. Marcus Rodriguez stepped out with 6 Navy SEALs, carrying specialized equipment that would be crucial to their mission success. After months of training, this was his first real deployment as a technical specialist. The desert heat hit him immediately, and he could taste the sand in the air. Team leader Lieutenant Jake Morrison gathered everyone for a brief orientation. The mission was to establish a forward observation post that would monitor enemy communications and movement patterns in the region. Marcus would be responsible for setting up and maintaining sophisticated surveillance equipment, satellite communication systems, and electronic warfare devices. If any of this equipment failed, the mission would be compromised and the team could be in serious danger. The observation post was located in an abandoned building compound several miles from their landing zone. The team moved carefully through the desert terrain, with Marcus carrying nearly 60 pounds of technical equipment in addition to his personal gear. The SEALs had been skeptical about bringing a support specialist on this type of mission, but Chief Williams had convinced them that Marcus's technical expertise was essential. When they reached the compound, Marcus immediately began surveying the location to determine the best positions for their equipment. The building had been damaged by previous conflicts, with unreliable electrical systems and structural problems that would complicate his setup. He would need to be creative and resourceful to make everything work in these conditions. While the SEALs established security and prepared defensive positions, Marcus started installing the surveillance equipment. The satellite communication dish needed to be positioned precisely to maintain contact with headquarters, but the building's roof was partially collapsed. Marcus improvised by creating a stable platform using debris and carefully calculating the angles needed for optimal signal reception. The electronic surveillance systems presented even greater challenges. The equipment was designed to operate in controlled environments, but Marcus was setting it up in a damaged building with inconsistent power supply and extreme temperature fluctuations. He spent hours adapting the systems, creating custom solutions for problems that weren't covered in any manual. On the second day of the mission, a sandstorm struck the area with unexpected intensity. The storm damaged the satellite dish and caused several pieces of surveillance equipment to malfunction. Without these systems, the team would be unable to complete their mission objectives and might have to abort the operation. While the SEALs maintained security during the storm, Marcus worked frantically to assess and repair the damage. The satellite dish had been twisted by the wind, requiring careful realignment. More seriously, sand had infiltrated several pieces of electronic equipment, causing short circuits and system failures. Marcus worked through the night, using only a small flashlight to avoid attracting attention to their position. He carefully disassembled each malfunctioned device, cleaned out the sand particles, and tested every component. Some parts had been permanently damaged and needed to be replaced. But Marcus had anticipated this possibility and brought backup components. By dawn, Marcus had restored most of the equipment to working condition. The satellite communications were functioning normally, and the surveillance systems were operational again. Lieutenant Morrison was amazed by Marcus's ability to repair such complex equipment under these difficult conditions. "I've never seen technical work like that in the field," Morrison told Marcus. "Most specialists would have declared this equipment unrepairable and called for extraction." Marcus's success during the sandstorm incident changed how the SEAL team viewed him. They had initially seen him as necessary but potentially vulnerable support personnel. Now they recognized him as a valuable team member whose technical skills were as important as their combat abilities. They began including him more fully in mission planning and decision-making processes. Over the following weeks, Marcus faced a series of technical challenges that tested his abilities and creativity. When their primary communication system was damaged by enemy jamming attempts, he modified the equipment to operate on different frequencies and power levels. When water leaked into the observation post during an unexpected rainstorm, he waterproofed the sensitive equipment using improvised materials and techniques. Each successful repair and modification increased Marcus's confidence and reputation within the team. The SEALs began consulting him about equipment capabilities and limitations when planning operations. His technical knowledge often influenced their tactical decisions, helping them understand what was possible and what risks they were taking. One night, Marcus intercepted an enemy radio transmission that revealed plans for an attack on a nearby Allied position. The transmission was encrypted and partially garbled, but Marcus recognized the communication protocol from his technical training. Working quickly, he modified their surveillance equipment to better receive and decode the enemy signals. The information Marcus extracted from the enemy communications was detailed enough to warn the Allied forces and prevent a significant attack. Lieutenant Morrison included Marcus's contribution prominently in his mission report, noting that the technical specialist's actions had likely saved lives and prevented a strategic defeat. As the mission continued, Marcus also began learning from the SEALs about tactics, strategy, and field operations. They taught him how to move quietly, how to observe enemy positions effectively, and how to think tactically about their mission objectives. In return, Marcus helped them understand their equipment capabilities and limitations, making them more effective in using their technological advantages. The mission's most critical moment came when headquarters ordered the team to relocate their observation post because enemy forces were getting too close to their position. Moving the sophisticated surveillance equipment without damaging it would be extremely difficult, especially since they needed to accomplish the move quickly and without being detected. Marcus developed a plan to disassemble the most critical equipment components and distribute them among the team members for transport. He created detailed procedures for reassembly at the new location and prepared backup systems in case some equipment was lost or damaged during the move. The relocation took place at night, with the team moving in small groups across several miles of difficult terrain. Marcus personally carried the most sensitive components, knowing that any damage to key pieces would make it impossible to reestablish their surveillance capabilities. When they reached the new location, Marcus worked through the night to rebuild their technical systems. The new position was even more challenging than the original one, with limited space and poor infrastructure. But Marcus adapted his setup procedures and managed to get all systems operational within 12 hours of their arrival. Lieutenant Morrison was so impressed by Marcus's performance during the relocation that he recommended him for formal recognition. In his report, Morrison wrote that Marcus had demonstrated technical expertise, adaptability, and professionalism that exceeded expectations for his position and experience level. Near the end of their deployment, the team received intelligence about a high-value enemy target in their area of operations. The surveillance equipment that Marcus had maintained and modified would be crucial for confirming the target's identity and tracking his movements. This was exactly the kind of mission that justified their presence in this dangerous location. Marcus fine-tuned their surveillance systems to provide the best possible intelligence-gathering capabilities. He adjusted camera positions, enhanced signal reception, and prepared recording equipment to capture every detail of the target's activities. His technical preparations were so thorough that the team was able to gather definitive intelligence that led to a successful operation against the enemy target. When their deployment finally ended, Marcus had completed every technical task successfully and had contributed to several significant mission achievements. The equipment he had maintained and modified had operated flawlessly under extreme conditions, providing the team with capabilities that would have been impossible without his expertise. During the debriefing process, every member of the SEAL team praised Marcus's performance and professionalism. They recommended that he be assigned to future missions and suggested that his role be expanded to include additional responsibilities. Lieutenant Morrison specifically noted that Marcus had transformed from support personnel into an integral team member whose technical skills were essential to their success. Chief Williams, who had originally recognized Marcus's potential, was present for the debriefing. He listened carefully as the team described Marcus's contributions and the technical challenges he had overcome. When the formal debriefing concluded, Chief Williams approached Marcus privately. "Rodriguez, I knew you had potential when I first noticed your work, but you've exceeded everyone's expectations," Chief Williams said. "Your performance on this deployment has been remarkable, and it's been noticed by people much higher up the chain of command." Marcus felt proud of his accomplishments, but remained focused on continuous improvement. "Thank you, Chief. I learned a lot from this deployment, and I want to keep developing my skills for future missions." "That's exactly the attitude that's going to take you places," Chief Williams replied. "I have some news that I think you'll find interesting. There's been discussion at the command level about expanding the technical specialist program based on the success of this deployment. They're looking for people with your skills and dedication to help train and lead other technical specialists." Marcus was intrigued by this possibility, but he also wanted to continue working directly with SEAL teams in the field. The combination of technical challenges and operational intensity had proven to be exactly the kind of work that motivated and inspired him. "I'd be honored to contribute to program development," Marcus said, "but I also hope to continue field deployments. Working with the teams and facing technical challenges in operational environments is where I feel I can make the greatest contribution." Chief Williams smiled. "I think there might be opportunities to do both. But first, there's something else you need to know. Your performance on this deployment has attracted attention from Admiral Richardson, who oversees special operations in this region. He wants to meet with you personally when you return to base." Marcus felt surprised and somewhat nervous about meeting with such a high-ranking officer. "Do you know what the Admiral wants to discuss, Chief?" "I have some ideas, but I think it's better if you hear it directly from him," Chief Williams replied. "Just be yourself and be honest about your experiences and goals. Your work speaks for itself." As their transport flight back to base took off, Marcus reflected on everything that had happened during his first deployment. He had started the mission as an untested technical specialist, but he was returning as a proven team member who had contributed significantly to mission success. The challenges he had faced and overcome had built his confidence and demonstrated that his skills were valuable in the most demanding operational environments. The other passengers on the flight included the SEAL team members who had become his friends and colleagues during the deployment. They spent the flight sharing stories about the mission and discussing lessons learned. Marcus appreciated how they had accepted him as a full team member and valued his contributions. Looking ahead, Marcus was excited about the possibility of meeting Admiral Richardson and learning about potential opportunities for career advancement. But he was also committed to continuing his professional development and finding ways to contribute even more effectively to future missions. The deployment had shown him that technical excellence combined with operational understanding could make a real difference in military effectiveness and mission success. The SEAL's Helper, third document. Marcus Rodriguez stood outside Admiral Richardson's office at Naval Base Coronado, wearing his dress uniform and feeling more nervous than he had during any combat situation. The Admiral's assistant, a stern-looking petty officer, had instructed him to wait while the Admiral finished a secure phone call. Through the partially open door, Marcus could hear fragments of conversation about classified operations and strategic planning. After what seemed like an hour but was probably only 10 minutes, the Admiral's door opened fully. Admiral Richardson emerged, a tall man with silver hair and sharp eyes that seemed to assess everything around him. Marcus snapped to attention and saluted crisply. "At ease, Rodriguez," the Admiral said, his voice carrying authority but not unfriendliness. "Come into my office. We have quite a bit to discuss." The Admiral's office was decorated with photographs from decades of naval service, maps of various operational theaters, and commendations from multiple conflicts. Marcus took the chair the Admiral indicated, sitting straight and maintaining professional composure despite his curiosity about why such a high-ranking officer wanted to meet with him personally. "I've been reading the reports from your recent deployment," Admiral Richardson began, settling behind his desk and opening a thick file folder. "Lieutenant Morrison and Chief Williams have provided detailed accounts of your technical contributions to the mission. Frankly, your performance has raised some interesting questions about how we utilize technical specialists in special operations." Marcus listened carefully as the Admiral explained that his deployment had been something of an experiment. The Navy had been studying whether advanced technical specialists could be effectively integrated into SEAL teams for certain types of missions. Marcus's success had exceeded all expectations and proven that the concept was not only viable but potentially game-changing. "Your ability to maintain and modify sophisticated equipment under combat conditions has impressed everyone who's reviewed your performance," the Admiral continued. "But what's really remarkable is how you adapted to the tactical environment and contributed to mission planning. That kind of integration between technical and operational capabilities is exactly what we need for future challenges." The Admiral stood and walked to a large map on his wall showing global naval operations. "The nature of modern warfare is changing rapidly. Technology is becoming increasingly important, but it's also becoming more complex and vulnerable. We need people who can bridge the gap between technical expertise and operational effectiveness." Marcus felt honored by the Admiral's praise, but remained focused on understanding what this conversation meant for his future. "Thank you, sir. I'm committed to continuing my professional development and contributing to the Navy's mission in whatever capacity I'm needed." Admiral Richardson turned back to Marcus, studying him carefully. "That's exactly the attitude I hope to hear. I have a proposition for you, Rodriguez, but it's going to require some significant changes in your career path and personal life." The Admiral returned to his desk and pulled out several documents from Marcus's file. "We're establishing a new program to train technical specialists specifically for integration with special operations teams. This program will require advanced technical training, tactical instruction, and leadership development. We need someone to help design and lead this program, someone who understands both the technical requirements and the operational realities." Marcus felt his pulse quicken as he realized what the Admiral was suggesting. This was an opportunity far beyond anything he had imagined when he first started studying equipment manuals during his breaks. The position would involve significant responsibilities, the Admiral explained. You'd be working with engineers, equipment manufacturers, and special operations commanders to develop new training protocols and equipment specifications. You'd also be responsible for selecting and training the first class of advanced technical specialists, and you'd continue to deploy with teams to test new equipment and procedures in operational environments. The Admiral paused, allowing Marcus to absorb this information. This is not a traditional career path, Rodriguez. You'd be helping to create something entirely new within the Navy's special operations structure. It would require additional education, advanced training, and probably several years of very intensive work. Are you interested in that kind of challenge? Marcus didn't hesitate. Yes, sir. I'm very interested. This sounds like exactly the kind of work I want to dedicate my career to. Good, the Admiral said, making notes in Marcus's file. But before we proceed, I want to hear your thoughts about what this program should accomplish and how it should be structured. You have practical experience that the rest of us lack, and your input will be crucial for designing an effective program. For the next hour, Marcus discussed his ideas about technical specialist training, equipment requirements, and integration with special operations teams. He talked about the challenges he had faced during his deployment, the solutions he had developed, and the gaps he had identified between current training and operational realities. The Admiral listened carefully, occasionally asking detailed questions about specific technical issues or operational scenarios. Marcus was impressed by the Admiral's understanding of both technical and tactical complexities, and he felt confident that this program would be well supported and properly resourced. Your insights confirm what we suspected, the Admiral said when their discussion concluded. Traditional technical training doesn't prepare specialists for the unique challenges of special operations environments. We need a completely different approach that combines advanced technical education with tactical training and operational experience. The Admiral explained that the program would begin with a small group of carefully selected personnel who would receive intensive training over 18 months. Marcus would work with established training facilities, equipment manufacturers, and special operations units to develop curriculum and practical exercises. The goal was to create technical specialists who could operate effectively as integral members of special operations teams. There's one more thing I want to discuss with you, the Admiral said, his tone becoming more serious. This program has attracted attention at the highest levels of the Defense Department. Success here could lead to similar programs in other service branches and significant expansion of technical specialist roles throughout the military. Your performance will be closely watched, and there will be substantial pressure to deliver results. Marcus understood the implications of what the Admiral was saying. This opportunity represented not just personal career advancement, but the chance to influence how the military approached technical specialists in special operations. Success would benefit countless future specialists and improve military effectiveness. Failure would set back these concepts for years. I understand the responsibilities and expectations, sir, Marcus said. I'm committed to making this program successful and proving the value of advanced technical specialists in special operations. The Admiral stood up, signaling that their meeting was concluding. Excellent. You'll receive detailed instructions about your new assignment within the next few days. Your first task will be to spend 2 weeks visiting various training facilities and equipment manufacturers to assess current capabilities and identify resource requirements. As Marcus prepared to leave, the Admiral extended his hand for a handshake. Rodriguez, I want you to understand something important. 6 months ago, you were considered just another support specialist. Today, you're being entrusted with developing a program that could reshape how the military approaches technical specialists. That transformation happened because you demonstrated excellence, initiative, and dedication in everything you did. Don't lose those qualities as you take on greater responsibilities. Marcus left the Admiral's office feeling both excited and overwhelmed by the opportunities ahead. He had gone from being invisible support staff to being selected for a leadership role in an innovative new program. The journey from helper to technical specialist had taught him that dedication and continuous learning could open doors he never knew existed. Over the next several months, Marcus threw himself into developing the technical specialist program with the same intensity he had brought to equipment maintenance and field deployments. He visited training facilities across the country, worked with equipment manufacturers to understand emerging technologies, and collaborated with special operations units to identify their evolving technical requirements. The program design that emerged from this work was comprehensive and demanding. Candidates would need strong technical backgrounds, physical conditioning for special operations environments, and the mental flexibility to adapt to constantly changing tactical situations. The training would combine classroom instruction, hands-on technical work, and realistic field exercises that simulated the challenges of actual deployments. When the first class of technical specialist candidates arrived for training, Marcus felt nervous but excited about putting his program design into practice. The 12 candidates came from various technical backgrounds within the Navy, but none had experience working directly with special operations teams. Marcus would need to transform them from conventional technicians into integrated team members capable of operating in the most demanding military environments. The training program proved to be even more challenging than Marcus had anticipated. Combining technical instruction with tactical training required constant coordination between different types of instructors and careful sequencing of learning objectives. Many candidates struggled with the physical demands of tactical training, while others found it difficult to adapt their technical knowledge to field conditions. Marcus spent countless hours working individually with candidates who were having difficulties, helping them understand how to apply their technical skills in operational environments. He also worked closely with the SEAL instructors to ensure that tactical training reinforced rather than conflicted with technical learning objectives. As the program progressed, Marcus saw clear evidence that his approach was working. Candidates became increasingly confident in both technical and tactical environments, and they began demonstrating the kind of integrated thinking that was essential for special operations success. Their technical solutions became more creative and practical, while their understanding of operational requirements became more sophisticated. The final exercise for the first class was a simulated deployment where candidates would need to establish and maintain technical capabilities in a realistic operational environment. Marcus and the instructional staff created a complex scenario that tested every aspect of the candidates' training, from equipment setup and maintenance to tactical decision-making and team integration. During the exercise, Marcus watched with pride as the candidates demonstrated skills and capabilities that exceeded his expectations. They adapted quickly to unexpected technical challenges, worked effectively with their SEAL teammates, and maintained operational effectiveness even when equipment failures and tactical complications tested their abilities. When the exercise concluded successfully, Admiral Richardson arrived to observe the final evaluation and graduation ceremony. Marcus briefed the Admiral on the candidates' performance and the program's achievements, highlighting specific examples of integrated technical and tactical capabilities that the candidates had demonstrated. "This program has exceeded our most optimistic expectations," the Admiral told the assembled candidates and staff. "You have proven that technical specialists can be full partners in special operations, not just support personnel. Your skills and dedication will make American military forces more effective and better prepared for future challenges." The Admiral then turned to Marcus. "Rodriguez, your leadership and vision have made this program successful. You have transformed yourself from a maintenance specialist into an educator and program developer, and you have helped these candidates make similar transformations in their own careers." Admiral Richardson paused, then continued with a slight smile. "There's one more tradition we need to observe before this ceremony concludes. Rodriguez, front and center." Marcus stepped forward, uncertain about what was happening. The Admiral reached into his uniform and produced a small case containing Admiral's stars. Marcus realized with amazement that the Admiral was about to give him a salute, something that would never happen under normal circumstances, since enlisted personnel salute officers, not the other way around. Rodriguez, in recognition of your exceptional contributions to the development of this program and your role in advancing the capabilities of American Special Operations Forces, I want to be the first to salute your achievement. Admiral Richardson rendered a crisp military salute to Marcus, who stood at attention in stunned amazement. The assembled candidates, instructors, and staff members watched in silence as the Admiral held the salute for several seconds before lowering his hand. That salute represents the respect and appreciation of everyone who understands what you've accomplished, the Admiral said. You started as someone who was overlooked and underestimated, but your dedication to excellence and continuous learning has brought you to a position where you're influencing the future of military special operations. As the ceremony concluded and people began to disperse, Marcus reflected on the incredible journey that had brought him to this moment. He had started as just the helper, someone who cleaned facilities and maintained equipment while dreaming of something more meaningful. Through dedication, continuous learning, and willingness to take on challenges, he had transformed not only his own career, but had created opportunities for others to make similar transformations. The Admiral's salute represented more than personal recognition. It symbolized the military's acknowledgement that technical expertise, when combined with operational understanding and professional dedication, was just as valuable as traditional military specialties. Marcus had proven that background and initial assignments didn't determine potential, and that excellence in any role could open doors to greater opportunities and responsibilities. Looking toward the future, Marcus knew that his work was just beginning. The success of this first class would lead to expansion of the program, development of advanced training modules, and integration with other military units. He would continue to face new challenges and opportunities to contribute to military effectiveness and the professional development of future technical specialists. But for this moment, Marcus simply felt grateful for the journey that had brought him from invisible maintenance worker to recognized leader in an innovative military program. The Admiral's unexpected salute had validated everything he had worked for and demonstrated that dedication and excellence would always be recognized and valued, regardless of where someone started their career.